Many times faculty have questions about how tests and quizzes work with regard to feedback to students. In this short video, I'm going to show you how exactly that looks and how it works. Over here on the right hand side, I have a course that I've created. I'm going to go to Tests and Quizzes and show you that there's a test that I've actually set up in working copies. I've actually gone ahead and published the copy, but I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. So in here, I've got a test and quiz with 2 questions that I'm going to go through and just simply duplicate. Now that I've duplicated it, it should show up in the list as copy 1. I'm going to go ahead and click on Edit, and that will let me edit the actual assessment. Here you can see that I actually have assessment information, multiple choice question, true and false. And if you click on the Edit section of each of the questions, and this is where you create it when you actually create the question, you have a multiple choice, single correct, multiple choice answers, and at the very bottom there's a place where you have correct, incorrect answer feedback. This information must be filled out when you actually create the assessment. Otherwise, you won't be able to see it once students actually are allowed to see feedback. Essentially, if there's no feedback here, even if they're permitted to see feedback, they won't see anything because there's nothing entered here. This information is optional, and most of the time people don't include it, but you can. So now that you've seen kind of how the assessment looks, let me go back to the assessment itself and give it a better name. I'm going to go to Settings of the Assessment, Assessment Introduction, and I'm going to give it a better name. Chapter 1, Sample Quiz. The other thing that's important about this particular settings area is down below where it says Feedback. I'm going to scroll down. These are all the menus that are inside of the settings for the assessment. And under the feedback area, you're going to see that there's a couple of different sections. If you want students to get feedback, there's information you can provide. You can provide question level feedback or section level feedback or both. Most of the time people, unless they have extensive quizzes or assessments, don't have sections. So if you haven't created sections inside of your assessment, you won't need to necessarily provide section level feedback. Here you can see, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm doing feedback on submission. You could do immediate feedback, you could do no feedback to the student, or you could do feedback provided to the student after or on a particular date. Down below here, there's a place where you can only release a student's assessment scores. That means the questions won't be shown, and nor will any of the other following information. For this demonstration, I have shown that I want to release questions and the following to the student, including the student response, the correct response, the student's assessment score, the student's question and or part scores, question level feedback, and I also want to include my graders' comments. I'm going to scroll down, save settings, and publish the assessment. Now that the assessment's been published, over here on the right in the Published Copies area, you can see that I have it there. Chapter 1, Sample Quiz. On the student side here, I'm going to log in. And once I've logged in, I'm going to go to my active sites and go to the course. On the left-hand side, you can see there I have tests and quizzes. You can see I have a Chapter Sample 1 quiz that I can take, and I can click on it. When I do so, I can begin the assessment, and will do so as a student. The first question I'm going to go ahead and answer incorrectly, and click Next. The second question I'll answer correctly, and submit for grading. Now that I've submitted for grading, you can see that the student view here on the left-hand side confirms that I've actually taken the assessment and that I've actually submitted on this date and time. If I click Continue on the student side, you'll see that down on the very bottom I have Assessment Feedback area, including Chapter 1 Sample Quiz. If I click on the feedback area, you can see that I can see the question, my answer, and that it was incorrect. Below, where you can see the answer key, and the feedback that I provided. In addition, I can also see that there's my true answer, or my correct answer for question 2, and my other feedback. On the instructor side, if I recycle the Test and Quizzes tool and go back to the Published Copies, you can see that I have Chapter 1 Sample Quiz and 1 has been submitted. I can further click on that particular student's submission, and I can provide a comment here. Well done. Try harder next time. But I can also go in over here on the left-hand side and click on the student's name and provide specific content. Well done, try harder. I can see the student's content, what they've submitted, and I can even provide content here. You need to study this topic more. Way to go! Click Update. And if the student goes through and actually sees their content here, the student on the student side, I'm going to click on Chapter 1 Sample Quiz again. Oh, I don't want to take it. I want to click on the feedback area, sorry. And you can see that immediately Sakai has gone ahead and provided that comment. Here I can have my overall comment about the content and individual content about each one of the questions. That's how the feedback content works and the feedback settings work. And those feedback settings are available inside the settings for each assessment. So, for example, in this assessment, I can go to Settings, and these are the settings for that assessment, and I can click on Feedback, and I can choose the options that I choose, or that I want.